Here it again. We're gonna see if we can finish up the gazebo for a guildmate that I've been working on. This is the island, the floating island that he's got it is situated. The island and the pathing up to it, I haven't done. I think he did this himself. But he's offered, well, he's welcome to me to add or remove or change up anything that I want. But for now, I'm just going to concentrate on the gazebo itself, try and finish it up. Got pretty far with it yesterday. Finished the main structure and was starting to add a lot of the details that I wanted to. But I kind of got stuck because as a roommate, you can't add things from your own inventory space to their crate, so you have to have them online to be able to deposit things in there that you might want to use. And I've been sending him these a little awkward. Need to reload my UI. Have to show up properly. These teal spiral leaf plants. Those are craftable by architects, which I happen to be one. So I made a bunch yesterday, I think it was. I sent him or the day before, I sent him a bunch, and I've already used all of those up. So I had to send another stack of them for him, and he only got them put into the crate this morning, so I'm going to be able to finish putting in the plants that I'd like. I also had a chance to talk with him this morning as well about the cushion situation, I guess is the way to say it. I needed to confirm with him if it was going to become like too girly, I guess, if it was going to be lots of pink and yellow and all of this like baby blue, if that was going to bother him. And he assured me that whatever I wanted to put in was fine. Of course, it's his plot, so if he decides that he wants to change it, then that's his prerogative. But I think we agreed that it would probably work best if we gave his visitors the option to either sit on a cushion or to not sit on a cushion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably put cushions on certain parts of the panel, the seating area, and other parts I will leave empty. So for those that don't want to, be all soft and comfortable, they can have the option to sit on the plain wood. The trick will be to figure out which parts I want to cushion up and which parts I don't want to cushion up. I'm also going to be looking into adding some lighting because his plot does do the range of day-night cycles, so I think it might help just to add a little more detail. I'm also thinking about possibly adding a few book stacks, maybe an open book here and there. But I'm not going to get too full in on, because I want to leave most of the bench areas open for, for obviously for people to be able to sit. And while we have currently a moderately sized guild, there's always the possibility that, as we grow and more people become involved in our activities and such, that, lots of room would be required. Initially starting, maybe we only have those that, sit around on the inner circle, and then as we expand, it becomes more and more. So for now, I'm going to concentrate on putting in the rest of the plants. For those that have been following along, I've basically been putting, I think it was 6 plants of the blue, the teal spiral leaf into each of the large pots, along with one of the fancy floral arrangement vases, one each in each of the little flower beds. I'm going to see how that looks once I'm done. I may end up again, crafting him a few more just to kind of fill him up a little bit. But I think they're looking okay. It, gives a nice impression that there's a good bit of soil there, and it's not like totally covered with plants, but it's enough that it looks full and vibrant looking. On the inner ones, the plan is to put 3 per flower bed, 2 situated directly around the pillars, and then 1 to kind of fill up this bit of area on the inner sides. I've been looking into the possible way I could fashion ivy going up some of these pillars. But most of the decor that I think could work, they seem clumsy and not very adjustable friendly. Like there's the leafy stalks from the housing vendor. They're super straight. It would be hard to kind of get them to wrap around the pillar, at least in a very realistically looking way. However, there is a new, let's see, I think it's in the fencing section. Yeah, the post. I may try to see how the post looks. It might get a little ridiculous with this part hanging out and having it, this way and that, all the way up and down. It's going to depend on how that looks, but I'll test that out after we've set in the rest of the flowers and things. So I'm just going to start where I left off last time, and well, I'll finish this big box first. So we'll get the teal flowers up, and I think it was 6 pieces. Basically like 2 pieces in the front and then 1 piece each in the back, just to kind of flesh out the flower pot. And there. Let's just start with those. Let's see, I think it was 40, and then the little ones, maybe those were, 45 is the big and 40 is the little. So we'll start sizing these down. So much easier to work with the pieces already placed out, because then you don't have to constantly be opening up the crate. Sometimes, depending on your workspace, there's just no getting around repeatedly taking it out, because like when I was working with the long deck pieces, those were very hard to work with, because when they place originally, they're like really long and huge. Okay, so there's the 4 large size and then the 2 small ones. And again, like I talked about yesterday, you don't want to just plant them all the same. You want to rotate them here and there. You could go even further by sizing them up even more sporadically than I've done here. But I think the 2 sizes is all right for this configuration of flowers. The main thing I'm looking at is I don't want the flowers to always be facing the same direction and the same grouping. I want to give it a little variety, just to make it look like, it wasn't just planted there like a robot. It's not a vegetable garden. It's just a little plot of wildflowers or something like that. So you want to kind of break it up by turning it this way and that so that they don't all look the same. And then, of course, you don't want to just be looking at it from one direction. You want to take a look at it in all directions, because as people come to visit, they're going to look around, and some of them will be, you know, zoomed in with their camera. Others will be like me. They tend to I keep looking over here because this is where the camera used to be, and I've moved it, and I have to fight myself not to turning. But anyway, for players like me that have the camera a little further back, you know, our perspectives are a little different. So you want to constantly be checking and double checking and turning the camera and viewing your work from all angles, just to kind of make sure everything's up to snuff. Before I add the two, I'm going to go ahead and grab the vase. Where's the plants? I'm going to plop it down, and I believe it was at 170 is the size I decided to go with yesterday. Let me just double check that to verify, and yes. And again, like I said, you want to just change it up a little bit so that it doesn't match exactly like, you know, the arrangements are similar. Obviously, you know, you have the bluish flowers, and then you have the vase itself, but you still want to kind of give it some randomness. Oh wait, wrong button. Use that back. We're just tucking it in just so that you can see the lip of the vase. You want to just sink it far enough to hide it. You know, for those that aren't familiar with the pieces, how they come, what it all looks like, you know, they might be impressed, thinking, "Wow, you put those flowers together nicely," and really, it's something that's come like that. So, just a fun way of using decor in ways that, you know, maybe they weren't intended to. You don't have to use it exactly like it comes. Okay, just tucking these last two in to kind of flesh it out a little more, and a little bit of a look back. Not bad, not bad. No, that looks okay. So now we're going to finish with the flower arrangements for the inner ring. Excuse me. Okay. Put it to the side here. And if I remember, I went with the 40 area. Kept them all the same with the small ones. That's what happens when you don't write the no. Okay, so we got Vine there. This one. Right. So yeah, that looks good. Looks like I turned off my run. Okay, now I just want to do that with the other three. gonna have to like get myself a box of cough drops or something. I'll quit. Okay, so resizing them all to 0.40. Yeah, when I talked with him this morning, he seemed really happy with the outcome so far. So that's been a real big boon for me, because I always worry, when you're making something for yourself, that's one thing. If it turns out kind of meh, it's your junk, so you're the one that has to live with it. But when you do something for someone else, you really, even if they give you free reign over to do whatever you want with it, it's still important that they're happy with it, and that they're not afraid to say, hey, I don't like it like that, can you change this or whatever it is. Now, I want, that was Simpsons. My iPad, I played Simpsons tapped out in between doing other things. That was Homer telling me to check on things, so I'm gonna turn him off. He'll be quiet. Anyway, I want people, if they're gonna have me do stuff for them, that's great. I don't mind. I love doing it. I like the challenge of it, but I don't want them feeling like they have to just accept whatever it is. See, I'm looking over there again. I don't want them to feel like they're obligated to keep it as I've put it together, or whatever. I mean, if he decides, a week from now, hey, I really don't want to do that, or I've changed my mind about what I want to put together for the guild, that's a-okay. I've taken lots of screenies of it. I've got videos galore of it. And it's been a good learning experience on how to put, certain things together. I haven't really done a lot of full, I've done like kitchen cabinets and minor structure things, but nothing as grand as this. So it's been an experience and a useful one. That's the important takeaway there. So, but at the moment he seems very pleased, and he's already talking about, doing a special opening night, because currently he's got a platform blocking the entrance up to this little, I don't know if you can see from here, yeah, got a floor blocking, so that, because there's a low graph pad fab kit down below, and you have to hop on it to get to the walkway here on top of this floating mountain island thing. And he's got it blocked off so that people can't come up here and take a look too early. He wants to like unveil it in some big little hoo-ha. Of course, if any of our guildmates are watching this video, they'll get a sneak peek, but the general idea is I think he's going to kind of wait until it's completed. Okay, so this in here. Basically, I'm kind of like really tucking it in around the pillar, and because, like I said, I'd had the thought that maybe I could, simulate something like ivy growing up the poles. If I really wanted to go totally wild with it, I probably could just get tons more of these teal spiral leaves and just shrink them down another level or two and just slowly have them crawl up. But that would take probably hundreds to do several of these. I wouldn't want to do every pillar, and not every pillar where that's got some of this growing. But maybe, you know, three or five of them, you know, always an odd number for me. I don't like doing evens if I can help it. Of course, I've got, you know, even 4 here and 4 on the outside. But in certain things, I prefer odd numbers. But I think that would be going a little overboard with that if I took it. I kind of did something similar for my tower from my previous build on my own plot, and it was a pain. It looked nice, but it took a lot of work in positioning things just right, and I don't like that. It kind of looks like a square. Let me turn this a little. There we go. Like that. Yeah. Anyway, it works, and of course it looked really good from a distance, but this is a little more in your face because people are going to be right up around it. And though I'm just not sure I can make it look realistic as far as the climbing of the pillar nicely and have it look smooth and not, you know, like things just plastered on it. Funny. But we'll try the new orange vine pillar looking thing, fence posts. We'll see what that looks like. I have a feeling that, well, it really depends. I didn't get a good chance. Well, I had a chance, but I didn't take it to check it out on the PTR. I was busy doing other things, but a lot of it depends on the size that it comes in when you first put it down and how big of an adjustment that you can make to it. Because, you know, for these in particular, I don't want the vine part to be like tree trunk size or something. So we'll have to see if it's going to be doable. Yeah, sometimes, you know, you gotta wonder if people really take notice as to all the detail work that can go into a particular build. You know, while I don't want to say that the common guy doesn't appreciate all of the detail that goes in, I think when it's another builder that comes to visit a plot of any sort, they can better, I guess, sympathize with the owner of the plot that they're visiting, as far as, you know, they can tell when they've gone to a lot of trouble and really gotten in on the details. You know, we have like we have bookshelves, for example, that already come with books on the shelves. But when you find a homemade shelf that's set up in a similar fashion to kind of look like it came that way, that gives you a really good idea of if someone's, you know, taking the time and the effort to dress it up and get those little details in there on their own rather than always going with the pre-made versions. Okay, so that's the plants, I think. Nice little bit of color that comes in there, and it's not too overpowering, I think. Like I said, I didn't want to add, you know, he wants it orange-ish, kinda, and that was the main guideline he gave me. So, you know, when you think of orange, you think of flowers, plants, trees and stuff, and well, just nature influencers or whatever, and that's why I went ahead and stuck with the wood, and then I've incorporated the different flowers. But I didn't want to use really bright things, or it just kept it soft. And this looks to me pretty soft and calm. You know, this is supposed to be like a place where guild members can gather and talk or read, or share stories, or maybe a quiz night or something would work. So, okay, so next we're going to look into the pillows. Now, I first need to figure out, let's see, I'm not sure. In the wrong second. Yeah, I think those are the yellow and the pink, but not the, yes, the pink flower pillow, I believe, for this one. And the yellow pillow, which is renowned, a renowned cost. So he's already got one more of the pink ones, and he only had the 2 yellow ones. So first I need to plan out which panels are going to have pillows and which aren't. And I think we'll start with the inner circle, since it's a little easier to manipulate. Going to pop these in here. Space them out a little more. I really don't want to restrict it so that it's only 3 people can sit there. You know, obviously more of us can probably manage. Maybe set it up so that there's 4. If I kept it to where it was just the yellow ones, I could technically just make a long yellow, you know, bump them up against each other to make it look like one long yellow panel. But I like the idea of having the variety of the pink ones there too, so what to do. I don't think bumping, well, Mark did it. I don't think bumping the 2 different ones up together will work very well, because they're a little, they don't match edges very good. See how that might look. See, it might be like that, and then I could fit technically probably about 5 seats there. So it'd be 3 yellow and 2 pinks, so that might work. And the idea would be I would probably just line the cushions on this side and this side, and leave this one clear for those that, you know, maybe they want to set a drink down there, or they want to just sit on the wood itself, is fine. And then for this, I think I'll put a row of pillows on this side and leave these 2 blank, just to kind of give it some color, but not like overload it completely with the pillows. So in that case, I'm going to do, that's 1, 2, 4, these 4 yellow ones so far. Make sure we got the right one. And then he's already got one pink one. So we need 2 more of those, and that'll take care of the inner seating. And again, I'm not doing like any specific measurements. I'm just kind of eyeballing everything as per usual. You know, for someone that's really particular about certain aspects, then, you know, they might want to be a little more diligent as far as, you know, what goes where. And but for me, it's not that big of an issue. As long as, you know, it kind of looks okay, I'm happy with it. Probably sounds bad, but that's just how I work. If I try, you know, if I got too heavily involved or invested in getting everything exact, I would probably go insane. Because so much of this is subject to just little nuances of annoyance that, you know, it's kind of unrealistic to expect it to work perfectly every time. So that's one panel. And I think that, you know, it's not too overly over the top, but welcoming at the same time, you know, for those that want to get comfy on the cushion, you know, they're there. And I wanted it to kind of look like it's an inset cushion, like it's built into the wood there, rather than just cushion sitting on top. Whether that actually comes off as such is another thing altogether, but I don't know if you noticed, I was tweaking it so that the little green tassel on the corner doesn't show. Now, there are some details that I'm a little picky about, and other things all hyped over. Okay, so now we're going to duplicate this on the other side. So we need 3 yellow and 2 pink, which I believe we already have in stock. So we'll just pop those out here. And we'll just yeah, the copy paste will work today for us. It just changes the little nuances on there. It changes the height slightly. I don't know why. It like offsets it a little bit, so it's not exactly like the one before it. Now I'm noticing here about the middle. See how the yellow one doesn't quite line up with the middle? Something like that, I think people will be a little troubled by, so we're going to readjust this a bit so that the yellow one is pretty much centered over that line. And then we'll readjust the other pillows in accordance with that. Now there is some use to symmetry to make it look purposeful rather than just tossed here and there. And this particular structure really lends itself to symmetry, that, you know, a lot of specific spacing and positioning. So even the pillows, you want them to have that same feel. So, you know, we want this one again to be as if you purposely put it on that way. Just kind of eyeballing those for the moment, and we'll get the pink ones in next. Oh, and crooked, didn't it? I think it just depends on how I click the surface. If I maybe got the inside of one of the panels instead. Again, that offsets it quite a bit as far as height and stuff. So you just have to go with the flow and adjust it as necessary. Pink ones seem a little larger, but you know, you don't want it, it's not going to be exact because it's not really the same shape as the other pose. But yeah, I think that's about where we need it. So you got the two seating, the cushion seating here, and then the bare seating to the other sides. And then what we'll do is we're going to line this seating area with cushions, and then we'll leave these blank. Now, do I want to include cushions on these out here? Maybe, maybe not. But I definitely for sure want them here. So since the yellows are the dominant of the two, I'm going to start with the yellow here as well. And then we're just going to go step by step, cushion by cushion, until we get the amount we need. But for sure, I'm probably going to need 1, 2, 3, we'll say 5 yellow ones. And that would mean like 4 pink. Not gonna have all of them at once, but we'll get most of them out there. Okay. Let's just copy. I was gonna up a little bit. Make sure it's kind of around the same. I could, you know, double check the I could check the height on all of them and make sure they're all about the same, but again, as long as it kind of looks about right, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I'll just copy, and I'm going to kind of eyeball the spacing to where the pink ones would probably land. My main priority will be, of course, to get this one to line up in the center of that pole. So we'll set it up, and then the rest will block some blocking over there. We'll set up the rest according to that. don't know what that was. It was weird. It wouldn't let me stand there for a minute. And a collision thing going on with the placement, I guess. Okay, so we'll just copy paste that one going, and it just keeps offsetting. It used to, when you do the copy and paste, it would put it down like on it exactly the same, exact same coordinates, exact same size, exact same everything. But now it's like it offsets it a bit, which is a little irritating, but and you just learn to work with whatever happens. I know there's been some builders that they essentially either threaten to or go ahead and quit because some tool function isn't working as it should be or as they think it should be, or as well as it could, or whatever it might be. And they just, you know, throw a little hissy fit. And I guess it's one way to get the message across, but I think there's way better avenues in getting something changed than to just, you know, throw a tantrum in the aisle like a kid. Now that might be offensive to someone, me saying that, but that's the way I feel. You know, there's bug reports you can submit. There's suggestions that you can submit in the forums. There's discussion threads that you can get other people to give their opinions. You know, it's one thing to say this doesn't work, but it's something else to say this doesn't work. Maybe you could try this. You know, rather than just be all negative, then, you know, it's good to have some, well, that one just kind of sunk down, didn't it? Good to give them some ideas of what you're actually looking for. If a tool doesn't work as you think it should, then tell them how you want it to work. In what way, you know, that would be beneficial to not just you, but possibly to other builders as well. I mean, typically, I want a lot of the same things that others want. You know, I want the water decor. I want, I would love a way to be able to, like, you know how we have the ability to dye our gear different colors. What a great thing that would be if you could do the same, you know, have like a painting feature for, even if it was just for like the building block decor, that would be awesome. You know, for the particular specific pieces, you know, it's okay if they come one of a kind or something, but for like the walls and the floors and the triangle pieces and the tubes and the stairs, it would be such a huge leap forward if we were able to paint them in any way that we wanted them. You know, if we want a metal looking kind of a stairway rather than always the wood, rather than them having to design a whole new set that might look kind of a little wonky or different, just give us the option to paint the stairs different. I think that would open up a lot of things for a lot of people. But, you know, a lot of that takes time to incorporate. I mean, I'm sure those that are in charge of the artwork, you know, the props systems and stuff, would love to see the same things added in. But, you know, there's probably a lot of coding and such behind it that maybe it just doesn't make it feasible, or maybe it's not possible or not possible yet. Maybe there's, you know, things that has to come into effect before that can become a reality. Like, even if we get water decor, it doesn't necessarily mean that our characters will function in the water as if it's actual water. I mean, we may not do any kind of swimming motions and stuff. But, you know, one step closer to that, and then, you know, someday maybe we could have that. Okay, so this is coming along all right. Slowly packing it in, getting things the way we want it. Kind of eyeballing it. I think the number of pillows is going to work out pretty much perfect. Might come out a little squished here on the end. We'll see how that works. Pretty happy with the spacing so far. It doesn't look, you know, forced too much. Yeah, I think that's gonna work out all right. Gonna drop that or that do anything at all. I think we can move it at all. Okay, so there's one of the outer rows. You know, I may just end up leaving it just like that. Just having a little touch of color, not overpowering. If he decides that he would prefer to see most of the walls of the seating areas, added in with the cushions all along, then okay. Or if people start making comments to that notion, then. But I think it's. I just don't want to overdo it. Don't want to be. Go crazy with it. So now, experiment time. Let's see. Wanted to try out the new. I think it's a fence post. I don't think he's already got one. I'll check. I think we will see. Go ahead and buy it, even though there's a chance I won't use it, but oops. I always hit the wrong button. Just to see if it's doable. Looks like a vine crawling up the. Oh, it's got that weird acorn on there. And I can't size it up much more than it already is, because I just think it will look wrong. Doesn't look like it's gonna be very friendly as far as the bottom sticking out. You don't want that green blobby showing there. And if I do it like that, then it's gonna look like it's grown into the rail, the pillar, rather than going around it. So it's close, but I don't think it's gonna work exactly like I would like it. But you know, I'm working with it, trying to see if I can, you know, maybe for these little poles, it won't hurt to have that acorn there where the joint is. Maybe that works out okay. You can see what I'm talking about. It kind of hides it and makes it look even more purposeful there. Maybe that'll work. The only thing is, I would probably have to position them all exactly the same, and every single one of them, at least for the little ones, would have to have that to get the acorn on there for each joint. So we can try it and see. I think feel good on not poking out at the bottom, but anyway, good on that. So there's going to be some sameness there if I arrange it such. But let's see how that works. It might be all right. I definitely won't be able to add one on the top half, I don't think, because I think it would be like a big clumpy sore up there at the top, and I don't really want to add anything else to the upper area other than some lighting. So if we did it for every single of the little pillars, that means we'll need an additional 4 for the inside and 7 more for the outside. So 11 of those altogether. So I'm going to take the big leap and buy 11 more. And flop them out the side where I plan to use them. Just to get them in position, and then we'll start sizing and rearranging. These two here, I guess got most of it covered. But this, you know, this lends itself well to the Orin theme that he's wanting to kind of go with, and it just adds a little more character to the structure, I think. So yeah, see, we're going to have to watch where those little dangly parts hang out. So we've got it at size 95, so we're going to work on and start tweaking. Going to be sure that the acorn is over the joint. Just kind of eyeball it in, and then we'll rotate it and take a look at it from all angles to see if it works well. And the thing has to be high enough to look like it fits on there just right. Yeah, I didn't come and look at this one just so now it's a little bit of it sticking out. We want to make sure all of it's covered. So I'm going to check what the height is on this one. I'm moving it just to remember which number I'm supposed to be looking at. So it's at 85.72. write that down. And I'm going to try and get the others all in the same. Now, a lot of that will depend on if I've got everything else lined up correctly. Talking to with my guildmate about some bank stuff. Anyway, if I've lined things up right, it should be all the same height. So we said 85, 72, so a little off. Let's see if this works. So now the main thing is to get this to look like, you know, don't want it to be, you know, yeah, this is kind of like going through the middle of the thing, but I think it'll be accepted that it's just kind of, you know, it's supposed to be a simulation of vine crawling up the thing, so. I think it'll be, you know, they're not gonna like nitpick and poke. Well, that just, you know, that doesn't grow that way, and blah blah blah. It's just to kind of give the impression that there's some vine, and we'll just, you know, go with that. So let's just, what was the size again? Anywho, so size 95, right? And then 85, 72 for the height. And see, you just want to make sure that there's nothing sticking out up above. So you just want to rotate and then tuck it in a little bit. Gonna be tricky though, because the acorn has to be right on the joint there. Okay. Turn it. What I may end up having to do is adjust where that pole is to get this to work right for all of them. If you hadn't noticed, this is Edwin. This is the owner of the plot that I'm working on right now. He comes and checks every now and then to see how far along I've gotten. He gets freaked out by some of the stuff I add in. Yeah, I think I'm just going to cheat a little bit and maybe move this part, because I can't seem to get this to turn in a way that will allow the acorn to be fully onto the, without some of it poking out in the bottom here. That's unacceptable. Let's see. I have these already linked. Now, link this. Just kind of sneakily tuck this in a little bit. Just enough so that I can get away with where the acorn has to sit so that it doesn't poke out the bottom. So, you know, it's still feasible where it's positioned. For some, that might be like a big no-no, but I really want the acorn on the center. And it may pose issues in other areas, and you know, we're going to find that out soon enough. But I'm going to try and get this in here like I want it. Anywho, got a Guildie asking about the blue light lounge table. They thought it was a random drop only, and some of us are trying to explain to them that they can farm it from a challenge in Farside. And they're wondering, well, how do you know that? Because all the places I look, it says it's a random drop. And it's like, well, he's asking what the name of the challenge is. I'm gonna look it up for him. That's from the cell impact there in anyway, I used to maintain a list on the main WildStar forums of, I called it challenging decor, where I had a list of all of the challenges that actually had a chance to drop decor, because as per usual, I'm a big fiend on wanting to have all of that handy in my head as far as where I need to find stuff. Why did that change the thing? Oof, that just went wonky, didn't it? Cancel that. Bad. So I used to maintain it, but I haven't updated it in a while. I don't think too much has been added since I last updated it, but I got so many things going on that I figured, well, I don't think very many people use it. They rely on Jabbit and everything, Jabbit Hole, for a lot of that information. You know, every now and then I'll come across some that Jabbit Hole doesn't have all of the information for, and I probably should be like one of those people that contributes to that site so that it gets, you know, a little more accurate for others that need it. But like I said, I got so much other things to keep me busy. I just don't want to spread myself too thin. Yeah, let me, oops, close that whole window. There we go. Keeping the chat on the channel open in case anyone asks any questions. Not that that's really been an issue lately, but didn't want to hide that. Just in the off chance. Okay, so those two turned out okay. Got a few more to go. So, oops, that's down the right. I kind of like place it after almost everything that I do to it because I'm afraid I'm gonna like mess it up and then have to start over. I'm doing it manually because the position doesn't seem to want to cooperate. Probably won't get it exact every time, but I can get close. I see how the coordinates suddenly went. I think it has something to do with the hatch house down below. For whatever reason, those of us that have a hatch house on our plot, a lot of the controls for the transformation tools just don't work like they're supposed to. I don't know what causes that really, but it's fairly annoying. Because you go to copy something or paste it, and it goes all nuts. Okay. Now this might be going a little overboard. I told him I didn't want to get too crazy with it, but I just keep thinking of things that I think, well, that might work, you know, add a little extra orange touch to it. And I may end up going a little overboard here, but, you know, hopefully he can stomach it. Of course, too, it might be going wonky because he may be doing some work down below. I think the system goes a little cuckoo when more than one person is adjusting stuff. And I think he's modifying, yeah, he's working on the stairway down below while I'm working up here, so that could throw things off. And so we just kind of have to work with it and hope that it doesn't go too loopy. See how the numbers changed? It just kind of went whoop. And I think that's more to do with him fiddling with stuff down below. Got some people linking some stuff in chat. I think a lot of our members have been working on the contracts, so a lot of them are coming up to the end bag, the big bag at the end. So they've been like showing off some of the purples and stuff that they've been getting awarded from their bag. I was kind of lame. I went with the goodies rather than the equipment or gear or whatever. I think I ended up getting the entertainer flare, I think is what it's called. For the front, it's the big disco ball on the head. I got that. I'll probably never use it, but I found it funny because it just looks ridiculous on a mount. The head of the mount. Untied. Okay, so that looks like I may have to reposition this pole because I'm turning it this way and that, and it's just kind of not working. Because I want that acorn on the joint of the pole, but I don't want like a bunch of gunk sticking out. Is that too much to ask? Maybe? Yeah. Oops. Oh. Ah. No, see, that still doesn't. Still. Me no likey. So I'm gonna cheat again and supposed to be where you click off of it and it deselects. But no. I don't want to do that. I'm gonna cheat again and just kind of wiggle the beam just enough so that it kind of tucks into the acorn like I want it. There we go. See, I didn't have to move it that much that time, and that works okay. So there we go. Just a few more to go, I think. Anywho, working on the vines. $95, and we want to drop it down. Then we're going to stick it in and pray that it fits snugly without being too much of a trouble. Just sneak in there, can I? Come on, just no. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna tweak. Ah, these happen to be linked. That's tweak it a little bit. You know, there's nothing wrong with as you add new features or new bits. Nothing wrong with changing your mind about where you want something. If it suits what you're doing better. It's just part of the game, and I think there's a sticky and building willingness to adjust. Can't be too frigid as far as, you know, it has to be this way or no way at all. You know what I'm saying? It's like just want some flexibility. Because if you're unwilling to budge on any particular aspect, then I think it's going to cause you more problems in the long run. Because you have to have a little, you know, give yourself a little leeway here and there. So just tweaking the vines. No, it would have been cool if I could figure out a way to get it to be both ways, but I'm not going to be too upset about it. You know, I told Ed if later down the road, if he still has this structure, if he hasn't gotten rid of it by then, and either some new decor comes out that would better suit that kind of a look with the vines, like if maybe they come down with like some curtain ivy or something, that I would be willing to come back in, change it up a little bit. Acorn. Want the acorn on the pillar. Some of these colors are so hard to see. Depending on that might help too. Just lined up right. So hard to see though, the blue on blue kind of deal. almost there on its own. Almost. I think I'm gonna have to adjust the pillars again. I don't mind the vine kind of hanging over the top here, but with it sticking out on the bottom, that will drive me nuts. So. They're still asking about the lounge table. Apparently, I was referring them to the wrong table. They were asking about the drink one. That's the little round one with the same motif as the blue light lounge table, which is the longer one. The longer one you can get from the Challenge and Far Side, but the other one, from what I gather, it's from Crime Lords, but it's a bind on pickup. So if you get it, count yourself lucky. But I've never seen one on H, so I'm pretty sure it's still bind on pickup. Otherwise, I would have grabbed myself a few. But I'm one of those that I don't mind running dungeons and adventures and such with my guild, but just the way that I spend my time and the hours that I play as compared to some of the others, I don't really do that often. So a lot of that kind of decor, especially if it's bind on pickup, I just kind of got on. I do without. It would be great to have, but then I'd be more in trouble with my storage space because I'd be having all this nifty stuff and I wouldn't want to let it go. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise that I don't get a hold of everything that is out there, but I feel for those that they come up with a theme and they think this is the item I must have, and then to find out it's going to be something that they're going to have a hard time getting a hold of, especially if it's a BOP item that they're going to have to really put in a lot of time and effort to get that item, especially if they're wanting a number of them. One item of it that's probably way more doable than, hey, I need 10 of those. That means you've got to be lucky that 10 of them drop and that whoever you're with allows you to need on it. If you're in a pug, that's everybody's probably going to need on it, but that's a big strain on a lot of builders because they want to spend most of their time just doing like me, fiddling with the core in the actual house rather than having to spend all their time farming other pieces. But then maybe people are impressed with if they see that you have 15 blue light drink tables, then they know, wow, that guy's really put in a lot of time to get all of those tables and everything. Okay, that's just going to land right on the 7-2, but we're going to ignore that. But there are some things that are easy to get a hold of that some people have just gotten loads and loads of them, and they like show every single one of them in whatever the build they have. And that's not for me. It's like before they changed it, you used to be able to get multiples of those Elden the little hologram looking thing, little hologram Elven statue or whatever. And you used to could be able to create duplicates of that and use them at the same time on your plot. I only ever got one, so I only ever had the one. But I've come across plots where they took advantage of being able to create multiples, and whew, there's like so many of them. And then now they have to leave them out somewhere, because I think it works that if they put them into because they've been since made into a unique item, which I think means you can only place one. As long as you've not put them away, I think that the system allows you to keep them out. But if those that have multiples ever put them in their crate, I think it would make it where they couldn't put them back out. Even though they have them, they would just be kind of wasted. So like I said, maybe it's a blessing that I never made duplicates of that, because if I were inclined to not ever lose the multiples that I have, I'd have to figure out a way to incorporate that into every build that I make, and I don't want to be restrained in that way. Still going on about the table. Guess somebody really wants the table. Okay, so I got one more to go, because I forgot to put this one down. So did I have another one? Yeah. I bought enough, but I didn't place enough. So there he goes. Okay, so final one. Less than the height. That's good. Close enough. Turn it. Won't work. Maybe. Closer, closer. Add that green bit. Okay, so we're gonna see if these pillars are linked, and they are not. So we'll do that now, and just kind of give them a little nudge to make it work. Okay, maybe that's a little bit more than a nudge. I won't tell anyone if you won't. Okay, so there we go. Not too bad, I guess. So now I want to look at lighting. I don't want to put a tremendous amount, but I do want to put, a little bit. I don't want one that's like a spotlight. I think that would be too harsh. And of course, I want lighting that suits the theme. Two spotlights out of the question. The lanterns are nice, but it would have been better if we'd had a selection of different colors, like a faint blue or something. A nice alternative. I'm not sure if I can get away with these, because for one, if they're hanging, I don't want to have trouble with people, getting stuck underneath them. And if I size it down so that it doesn't hang too low, then maybe the light effect isn't as bright. But we're going to see just how it looks. can go up. Not to mention that's a sizable chunk of renown to spend for something that I'm not sure will actually work. Because again, since this is, you know, bare up here, it's not like in a pre-made house where I could just kind of sink it up into the ceiling. Here it would be sticking out one end. So I think those will work, and I'm only going to use 4, 1 on each of these wooden panels here. Again, it's a good chunk of renown, but I think that will work best. We're going to check out some other options just to see if there's anything else that I think might work. There's probably a few that I could probably craft for him that might work, but again, I would have to like actually go and craft it and specifically I would have to go ahead and have him put it in just to be able to preview it. So I think I'll just, for the sake of not having to do all that rigmarole, I will just go with the orange hanging lamp. So I'm going to buy 4 of those. And drop those in. It's going to be huge right now, but we'll fix it. And of course, what I'm going to do for the spacing is I'm going to use this view here to be able to verify where I've got them placed first before I go and I hate that. I wish there was a way to turn off the interactability, because then it draws that silly. I'm gonna straighten this up. Everything's good and square, just easier to check it out. Basically what I'm going to be doing is lining it up this direction with the center pole of that one, and then the center pole of the other way. You know, I'm not going to be exact with it, I'm just kind of eyeballing it, but it gives me a rough guide so that I can follow the same positioning on the other corners. As far as sizing, kind of I might still be low. Or like the Granok and the Mordesh members of our guild. That might work. Should work. And it's subtle. It's not cumbersome to the view, I think. I think it works okay. So now we'll just do the same thing to the others. And that was let's see. Let's double check. We're gonna position it first, because you know the base of it is showing through, and it's easier to see it then when it's shrunk down. We're gonna line it up first, just to make everything square. And then just tweak it a bit so it's the same position, and then we'll change the size. Quick and painless, pretty much. And then again for this one, wear it up. Now, I don't know if the lighting is gonna, really be a big thing. Maybe I should add a fifth one here, right in the center. In fact, I think that I probably will do that right in the center of the wood block there. Because the idea is to have the spokesperson or the person that's telling the story to be standing here in the center, and then everybody else be free to sit and gather wherever. Now, I very well could have asked Ed to purchase these lamps himself, but as he's been so generous in letting me have free reign over what goes onto his plot, I'm more than happy to pay the costs of all of these parts that I'm using. Now, maybe he'll pay it forward by helping out a guildmate with something that they might need, or later as he gets a little more confident in his own building, then he can do the same for someone else, come along and build something for them. So yeah, let's grab one more of the orange hanging lamp. Pop that right there in the middle. This was a little tougher to see, but I think we can manage. I guess a little bit. Yeah, I think that's a good call right there. Now, I mentioned earlier that we had talked with Ed about other details that he might want included, like a stack of books or something. I'm going to see what he has in his crate, if he's got anything at all book related. Doesn't look like it, so let's see what's something that I can just throw a little extra something that would be appropriate. Maybe like a small stack of books. And then maybe an open book somewhere else. I don't want to cover too much of the area with like clutter, because ideally the purpose of this area is for people to come and gather and to sit And if you cover everything with, this or that, it can hinder that, So like if someone wanted to sit on this particular part of the bench, it might be a little awkward because that book is sitting there. And, if that's the case, say he has an event organized and he wants to clear it out, then he has that option, and then he can just put it back whenever he feels like it. Just making sure that the book is not like doing a floaty effect. And I don't want the book to be huge either. Same with these. I'm gonna size these down a bit. I'm gonna move them over here. Opposite. I wanted the one that's open to be where the light is hitting. And then we'll have just the stack of books, for a reference for whoever might come and don't want to. Story time, I'm going to read a book, but then, if they want to role play, hey, I brought a stack of books, or these are a selection of poems, or whatever, then they can have the props there to kind of fuel that role play. So there we go. That gives a little hint as to the purpose of this particular structure. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, I think I'm going to call it finished. He may, he's still got some of the stairs to deal with. And, to finish this off, I don't know how he really wants to work that. But as far as the gazebo itself, I'm going to asking about the pillars. I really don't know. Personally, I kind of like them how they are. But I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. He was telling me this morning that he was sorry that for taking up my time. I was like, no, this has been a fun challenge for me. I like trying new things, and this is definitely something I've not tried before. So just gonna grab myself a few more screenshots. Because obviously I'm want to post how it turned out. I'm still considering, well, I'm sitting here saying, oh, it's done, but I'm still sitting here thinking about other things that I could add to it. Like, I was considering adding some railing of some sort. Um, but he seemed to suggest he was okay with leaving it open as it is. So, maybe that's just me being kind of overly goofy about it, but I don't think the railing would be necessary on the inner part. I'm just thinking more like on the outer edges of this area in here. It wouldn't need to be on where the flower beds are. But yeah, I think we'll call it good for now. And if he changes his mind about it. But yeah, that's the end of this project, more or less. The nice little scene of it, the rainbow behind. And of course, he's been working on these steps and things. Looks like he's added a little bit of a pond effect, which is cute. Just to add a little extra detail. I end up falling off of this thing. But I've encouraged him, if he wants anything changed or anything added, to just let me know. Because he's pretty much let me just go hog wild on this gazebo, and I hesitate to just take over his project completely because it is his plot. He's the one that has to look at it. While it's an alt that he's on, it's still his, and he's the one that has to look at it every time he logs on a particular character, and just want him to be happy with it. And if he doesn't like the way something's going, then it'll be up to him to decide, well, do I want it this way or that way? And I want it to be as much his as it is, I guess, kind of mine. But yeah, I'm very happy with how it turned out. Not too overpowered with color, but it looks fancy enough to have some charm all its own. I'm just double checking to make sure I didn't miss any of the pillars and stuff, because that would be embarrassing to have hit some. I mean, I know these don't have it, but I'm talking about the ones with the joint. I want to make sure I caught all of them. And just double check the books, make sure they're not floating. Constantly double checking all of the little details, because again, I know it's not my plot, but you want things to look nice. But I think it'll serve well for what he wants to use it for. think he was in the process of smoothing out the stairway here, because before, when you come up it, you needed to jump just to make progress up the way. And now he's made it to where it's basically you can just walk it. You don't have to do any jumping. The big jump is just getting up here. Like I said, it's the gravity pads down below that you use this one to double jump up onto here, which I often miss. I'm horrible at jumping. I think it's great that the people that can make the jumping puzzles and stuff, and even those that are out in the open world, but they're like my bane because I'm so horrible at it. It's like some of the dungeon, well, I guess it's an adventure or something, like Sword Maidens or something, where there's like you have to jump across onto some floating rocks, and they've got the little swirly air things that kind of bump you over. I'm very well known for dying on that part. I might live through all the bosses, but the environment is what killed me. So horrible. But I was definitely never one of those that got into the Mario Super Brothers or anything, because it was just, and I'm one of those that panics, when you go into combat and stuff, and then you got to jump or something. It's like, ah. So yeah. Now the guildies are discussing the lore, agreeing to disagree, that some are shaky and some are in depth. I'm not much of into the lore. I mean, I think the idea of them coming to this planet to kind of stake their claim, for me that's enough lore. I don't need anything in depth. I don't. While I am supportive of the role-playing community and I have participated in it to some extent, I'm not one of those that develops a backstory or carries on a personal story alongside everybody else. That's too much for me. But yeah, I think I read some of the lore articles, like they've got the Loremageddon that they brought back